Welcome, welcome, welcome back to another fun Algebra 2 NTI day. We are working on week 3. And guess what? At the end of this week, or end of Thursday, we are on spring break. So, yes, we get to take a little break from schoolwork, get to enjoy the outside. Hopefully, we have good weather. But you probably won't have any schoolwork to have to work on. Now, that's also a good time to catch up on stuff if you're behind as well. So, you might want to do that also. Okay, a couple things. So as you can see in red and green on here, starting this week, if I don't see work, you're gonna lose points on assignments. It possibly could lose all points if I just see answers. Some people are submitting work and they write out the problem and then they give me the final answer. And there's no way you're doing these problems in your head. It's just not possible. So show me that you're giving a good faith effort. You're not just going to a math app and trying to figure out and just copying down the answer. I need to see your work. I will start taking points off if I don't see it. I have forewarned plenty of you. We're in week 3. You know this by now. Also in green here, please take clear up close pictures of your work. Guys, I love to see your smiling faces in your pictures. However, I'm old and I have horrible eyes, and I struggle staring at the computer screen for all day. So please take clear pictures. Take it, make sure it's clear, you can read it, that I can see each number, I know what's going on. Okay, so if you guys could do that, that would be great. Awesome. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, so what we're doing this week is we are kind of combining a bunch of things we've been working on all into one problem. You've also done these problems on Mathia, so again, this should not be new material. So number one, what we are doing is we're given a polynomial and we're given one of its factors, and we have to find all of the zeros. I know it doesn't say, well, it says right here, find all zeros. So that's our goal, is to find all zeros. Okay. To tell how many zeros we're looking for, we're going to look at the degree of the polynomial. So this degree is a degree of 3. So I should have 3 zeros that I'm looking for. Okay. Now remember what a factor is. A factor is something that divides evenly into your bigger thing. For example, 2 is a factor of 12 because 2 divides evenly into 12. All right, so x plus 2 is a factor. We can find the 0 from this factor, right? We just take the opposite of that, and one of my zeros is negative 2. Bam, we got 1 done. We only have to find 2 more. In order to find 2 more, I need to simplify this big polynomial. I need to get it down to something that I know how to factor, because I can't factor it right now the way that it is. So I'm going to have to use synthetic division. All right, so on the outside, we're going to do, we take the opposite of negative 2, or we actually take the 0. So it would be negative 2. And then we're going to write down, first we need to check all of our powers. We got 3, 2, 1, and then just the number. So we're good. We're not missing any terms. So I'm going to put down my numbers. Don't forget your negative signs. Where you need negative signs, leave space, bring down the first one, and here we go. So negative 2 times 3, this is our bouncy ball, right, is negative 6. When we go straight down, we're adding. Okay, so this gives me negative 14. Negative 2 times negative 14 is going to give me 28. Again, going straight down, we are going to add, which is negative 5. Negative 2 times negative 5 gives me a positive 10, and that leaves me with a 0 remainder. Again, you should not have a remainder because this is a factor. The only way it's a factor is because it divides evenly. So if you're getting a remainder here, then you know you've done something wrong. So no remainders here. All right, so now I'm going to write my answer here, 3x squared minus 14x minus 5. Now, last week, this is where we ended, but we're not done now. Okay, so this is what we've done once we've divided it by one of its factors. So we have x plus 2, right? All I did was bring down this down here. So if I were to FOIL these two, I would get back to this original polynomial that I started with. I don't want to do that, but that's what would happen. So now I need to break down or factor this polynomial. And I noticed that this is squared, so it makes it a quadratic. And we know how to factor quadratics. So what method do we use factoring quadratics when our a value is bigger than 1? AC method. Good job. All right, so we have factors of 15 that are going to subtract because of this minus sign right here, right there. And we have to get 14, that middle term. So obviously that's really easy. That's just 15 times 1. So open up two sets of parentheses. We have x and x. First sign comes straight down. Second sign is a minus, so that means the signs in my parentheses have to be opposites of each other. Okay, again, as a reminder, here I'm going to do it up here real quick. Okay, so if your original equation has plus plus, then your parentheses will be plus plus. If they're minus minus, then you're going to have minus plus. If it's plus minus, you're going to have plus minus. And if it's minus plus, you're going to have minus minus. Okay, that might be helpful to write down, just to remind you as you're factoring the quadratics. All right, so we're going to put our bigger factor first, right? And now remember, we used A to help us out. So it's called AC method. We couldn't just use C. C needed some help, so we used A. Now that we're done, we multiplied to put A in, but to take it out, we got to divide by our A value. This is very important. This is where everybody was making mistakes the other week. All right, so we're going to divide by 3. So I'm left with x minus 5. And remember, we pull this ahead. So this becomes 3x plus 1 because it doesn't divide evenly. And then I'm going to bring down our other factor that we were given in the very beginning. So here are my 3 factors. All right, that means if I were to FOIL these 3 things, I would get back to this big polynomial up here, right? All right, but the question is not asking us to find the factors, it's asking us to find the zeros. So then what we're thinking in our head is that we set each of these to equal 0 and you solve them. Oh, equal 0. Okay, so if I solve this one, the first one, so x minus 5 equals 0, well, that just gives me x equals 5. And then if I have 3x plus 1, I'm actually going to look up here to this right here before I pulled it ahead. This was x plus 1/3. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the opposite of that positive 1/3 and that becomes negative 1/3. If that doesn't make sense, just solve this. I'd subtract 1 from both sides and then divide by 3. And then finally here, we already know this 0 is at negative 2. So these are my zeros and those are my answers. That's what I'm looking for right here. That's the answer to the problem. All right? Okay, to recap. Here we go. I'm going to go through it kind of quickly. All right, so we started here. We used we took the opposite of that or used the 0 and put it on the outside. We then wrote down our coefficients and we did synthetic division. When we did synthetic division, we were left with 3, the negative 14, and the negative 5, and we had a remainder of 0. Remember, you should not have remainders. All right, so then we had to factor 3x squared minus 14x minus 5. I used AC method, so A times C gave me 15. So then I found factors of 15 that subtracted to give me 14, right? And that's 15 and 1. So then the bigger number goes first, so 15 and 1, right? The first sign comes straight down. The second sign was a minus, so this had to be a plus, right? And then we divided by our A value. Remember, don't forget that. So we divided by 3 and divided by 3. I wrote out my factors as x minus 5, 3x plus 1, and then x plus 2. Those are my 3 factors, right? But I don't need factors, I need zeros. So then in my head, I just imagined this x minus 5 equals 0 and solved that. 3x plus 1 equals 0, solve that. And x plus 2 equals 0 and solve that. And we got these as our final answer. All right. Okay, let's jump down to number 6. Okay, 6 and 7 are down here. Actually, let's do number 7. Okay, so on number 7, same deal, right? And guys, there's only 7 problems on here, and I'm doing 2 of them with you. So you actually only have 5 problems for work today, which isn't bad at all. All right. So I noticed that I have a 3 in front of my x. So I'm going to have to divide everything by 3 to begin with. So I'm going to divide everything by 3, right? And so I'm going to take the opposite of negative 2/3, and I'm going to get a positive 2/3 to go on the outside. 6 divided by, let's check and make sure we have all of our terms. 3, 2, and then 1, and then no term, or no x at all. So we're good. We have all of our terms. So 6 divided by 3 gives me 2. 17 over 3, I can't divide evenly, so I'm going to leave it. Negative 5 over 3, and then negative 2. All right, first number comes straight down. We're going to start our bouncy ball, right? So again, on this, when you're doing this, remember, we're just multiplying the top times the whole number, which gives me 4. And then you're going to keep your same denominator that was on this fraction, which is 3. Now, all I'm going to do is add the top numbers. So 17 plus 4 gives me 21 over 3. Now, 21 divided by 3 gives me 7. All right, I'm just going to bring that 2 right there. Okay, so same process. All right, we take 7 times 2, which gives me 14, and keep the same denominator of 3. All right, so now I'm going to do negative 5 plus 14, so add the top numbers of each fraction. So that gives you 9 over 3, and 9 divided by 3 gives us 3. And then finally, I'm going to do 2 times 3 gives me 6 over 3. Well, 6 over 3 is the same thing as 2, right? So negative 2 plus 2, well, that gives me my 0. I should not have a remainder. Remember, no remainders. All right, so now I'm going to write out this solution here. So this is 2x squared plus 7x plus 3, right? But I'm not done yet. I got to factor that. I'm also going to bring down my original, so 3x minus 2. So from up here, I just brought this down so I can see all of my factors here. All right, so we're going to have to use AC method because I noticed that my A value is bigger than 1. So 2 times 3 gives me 6. So I'm looking for factors of 6 that add to give me 7. All right, so 2 sets of parentheses. We have x and x. And then 2 factors of 6 that add to give me 7. Well, that's pretty easy. That's 6 and 1, right? And the first sign comes straight down. Second sign is a plus, so they have to match. All right, now I needed help, so I got help from A, but I don't need A's help anymore, so I multiplied to put it in, so I'm going to divide to take it out. So I'm going to divide by my A value. So now I have x plus 3. 1 over 2 does not divide evenly, so I pull that ahead, so 2x plus 1. And then I'm just going to simply bring down the factor that was given to me originally. So now we have to make these equal 0. So we have x plus 3 equals 0, 2x plus 1 equals 0, and 3x minus 2 equals 0. And we're solving each one of those. All right, so then this one's negative 3, this one's negative 1/2, and this one's 2/3. These are my zeros, and those are my answers, or my solutions, right? Remember, these are factors, and then these are my zeros, or my solutions. Okay, so what I'm looking for is going to be this right here. All right, now when you finish your assignment today, you're going to actually put your answers into Schoology because you're going to check to see if you get them right. The assignment is not graded, so I'm not grading you on correctness because I'm going to look at all your work. So you're going to submit your work, and you're going to put answers into Schoology to see if you were right or not. I think that'll help you make sure that you're doing it correctly. All right, so again, remember on this one, it was exactly like the first one except for this first part right here where we had to divide by our 3. We had to divide everything by 3 to start with, okay? If you are having problems, if you have questions, please contact me. The fastest way to contact me is through Teams. And then I can also, if you send me a Schoology message, I will see that too, but it's faster through Teams. So please contact me through Teams. So today, your work is going to be doing problems 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You got 5 problems. All right. Don't forget, guys, that you need to show your work. Okay. For a few of you that I've already warned, I'm not going to be gracious anymore. I'm not going to be nice about it anymore. You're going to start taking zeros for stuff. All right. Okay, guys. Have a great Monday.